everybody, it's Dr. Joe and Mr. Bear, and today I'm going to show you my top 10 stretches and exercises for a wing scapula. So let's get started. Disclaimer alert, disclaimer alert. Bear, look, who's this? Oh my goodness, it's you. So before I get started, one of my favorite parts about my viewers is sometimes they like to send me things. So one of my viewers, Yap Limstra, sent me some portraits of the puppies. Look how cute that is, Mr. Bear. You are handsome. You are a handsome man. So let's get started about the wing scapula. So a wing scapula, or scapula winging, is basically when the scapula or your shoulder blade is not sitting on the rib cage like it's supposed to. And it's usually due from some weakness or instability because there's over 20 muscles that attach to that scapula. And the most common one that's weak is the serratus anterior. And so what happens is usually our shoulder blade sits nicely on the rib cage and rolls up and down, but the serratus anterior comes in like this to keep it down like this. But when it's weak, it wings out, so it's no longer sitting nice on that rib cage, and then it ends up being unstable. So really what you want to do is get all those muscles, the main muscles around the scapula, stretched out and strengthened, because remember, stretching something out doesn't mean making it weak, it means it makes it function properly. So sometimes people think you shouldn't stretch, but you really should stretch it because that helps get that muscle moving how it's supposed to again. So the first one is going to be a rhomboid stretch. The rhomboids are the ones that are inside of the spine, so it pulls those scapula or the shoulder blades in towards the spine. So a great way to stretch that out is to get into a long sit position. You don't have to, if this is a hard position to get into, you can just sit in a chair or the edge of your bed and do it, but this will get you a little bit better stretch. So then you're just going to take your hands out in front of you, clasp them together, and then what you want to do is you're going to punch forward, tuck in your chin, and kind of arch your back out behind you. So this is going to be punch, tuck, and then kind of arch that back out. So since this is a stretch, you're going to hold it for a full 30 seconds, really just kind of getting that stretch back in there. And then after you do that 30 seconds, take a little break and do that 3 times. So then the next one is going to be the levator scapula stretch, or levator scapulae. And so what that does is that elevates, the levator elevates that shoulder blade. And a lot of times that one has a lot to do with the shoulder blade not functioning properly. So you really want to get it stretched out. You want to make sure those muscle fibers are where they're supposed to be and they're not knotted up, causing some instability or some imbalances in those muscles. So the way to stretch your levator scapulae muscle is, if I'm stretching my right side, I'm going to take my right hand and I'm just going to place it kind of up, and my hand's going to be back on my shoulder blade and my elbow is going to be up towards the ceiling. Now some people can't do this. This might be a little uncomfortable. You don't have to do this. This just helps push that scapula down to give you a better stretch. Some people just raise their arm, which is fine. You can do that as well. I just like to do it this way. But again, if this is too uncomfortable for your shoulder, then you don't have to do this. This is just going to give you that extra stretch. Then you're going to take your other hand and place it behind your head. So it's not on the side, but it's actually behind your head. And then you're going to pull your head down at an angle towards your knee. So this one's a little bit tough for people sometimes, but you want to imagine you're taking your nose down towards your opposite knee. So it's at an angle. It's not to the side. It's not down in front of you, but it's at that angle. So bringing this up, hand behind the head, pulling down, getting that stretch, and you should feel it right through there. That levator goes all the way up into the neck at that C-spine and then attaches down to that shoulder blade. So it has a lot to do. So again, 30 seconds holding that stretch, do it 3 times. I always recommend, especially in the neck area, to stretch both sides. If you don't have time, that's okay, just do one side, but if you have time, I would definitely do both sides. So then the next one is going to be a lat stretch. And yes, the lats are attached to your scapula. It's just a little piece at the bottom down at the apex, but it is attached and it really makes a difference in the function of that shoulder blade. So a pretty good stretch for the lat is kind of coming down into a prayer stretch or a child's pose. This is one that I really like to get the stretch. And you can kind of stretch at an angle if you really want to get one specific side. So now that you're facing this way, if I wanted to stretch my left side, I'm going to kind of get into that child's pose position. If this is too tough on your knees, you can actually start up in this position and put your hands out first and come back so you don't have to go all the way down to your bottom. But I kind of like being on my knees. But again, if this is not comfortable for you, don't do it. You don't have to do it on the floor. You can do it on your bed or on a couch. But when you come down, you're going to come down slightly at an angle to get that lat stretch side. So instead of just coming down into a regular child's pose or prayer stretch, which you can, I'm going to come over at an angle, and I should be feeling that stretch all along through there. So kind of getting that stretch. If you have something that you can grab onto, like if you're on a table or something, you can grab the edge of like a therapy table and get that stretch. So again, 30 seconds. If you have time to do both, you want to do 3 on each side. So then the next one is going to be a subscapularis stretch, and this is part of your rotator cuff muscles. This is the one that sits underneath. So again, it's kind of there where that rib cage is. And so a pretty neat way to stretch it is you can either use a cane, you can use a PVC pipe, you can use a broomstick. You can even do this against a doorway, but sometimes this one works a little bit better because you can get an extra stretch in there. So what you want to do is you want to take the stick or the PVC pipe, and you're going to kind of place your elbow under on this side. So I actually want to put it behind my elbow where I don't see it. Then I'm just going to grab kind of here on the top of the pipe or something. So you see it's a little bit of an awkward position, but you do want to get that little bit of bend in your wrist too. And then all you're going to do is turn it back this way. Now again, this is going to be pretty uncomfortable, especially if you have some issues going on, so it might be a little bit too much. Some people kind of roll their hand into it and then pull back, so you can do that way as well if you don't have the stick or the pipe, but it's that rotation going backwards to get that stretch. So since this one might be a little bit uncomfortable, you can start with 20 to 30 seconds, but you still want to get in that 20 to 30 second hold for that stretch to get a full stretch, doing 3 times. And again, this one goes a little bit into the shoulder, so you don't have to do both sides, but I would, just to keep everything nice and balanced. So then the next one is going to be pec stretches, really mainly for your pec minor. And again, the pecs, they come up this way, which is part of that shoulder blade, and they attach to the tip of that shoulder blade there. So again, all these muscles that you might not think were attached to the shoulder are really important with the shoulder and can contribute to that wing scapula. So some easy ways to stretch the pec, if you don't have maybe like a doorway, you can do a doorway and just put your hand on the edge of the doorway. So if my doorway was right here, I'd put my hand here and then just walk kind of through the doorway to get that stretch. So you can do it that way. That's a nice stretch. There's usually doorways everywhere. But if you don't have that option, you can take your hands, clasp them behind you, and so this time you're going to push down and away, and then you're going to just kind of push your chest out, puff your chest out a little bit. So I'm pushing out and away, and then I'm pushing out this way. So you can do this standing. You don't have to do it sitting. It might even be a little bit easier to do standing because then you can push a little bit more. But you should feel that stretch right in through here. So again, this is a full 30-second stretch. You really want to get it nice and stretched out, and make sure you're getting everything loose and flexible and moving correctly in that shoulder. So either way for those pec stretches, then the doorway or behind your back. So then the next, the last ones, we're going to go into some strengthening. And again, I really feel like the serratus anterior is really the one you want to work, because that's usually the one that causes that winging, coming away. That shoulder blade is coming away from that rib cage. So a really easy, really efficient way to start working the serratus anterior muscle is you're going to kind of, first, you can start off at just a 90-degree with your hands out in front of you if you've never done this before. This one's a little bit tough because you really have to keep your elbows locked out. Sometimes people think because it's a punch, you're punching, but you're really moving the whole shoulder complex. I like to do them together. You don't have to. You can do one at a time, but I'm not punching my hands. I'm moving the whole shoulder complex forward. So ideally, to really get in that good scapular plane, instead of just doing the 90, which you can start off doing, you want to really bring your arms up to about 120 to 140 degree angle. So you're really almost like you're punching up towards the corner in the ceiling. So I'm bringing everything up and I'm coming back down. And if you can see here, I'm moving everything forward. That's a protraction motion, and that's what that serratus anterior does. So just punch forward and slowly come back. If you've never done this before, you might just want to start with 5 or 10, couple sets several times a day. You can work your way up to 20, 25, and if that's easy, then you can go on to the next ones. So then the next one is going to be kind of what I call a modified push-up plus. If you know what a push-up plus is, you're actually in the push-up position. Sometimes, again, that's a little too hard for people to start off with. So I like to do it kind of more in a quadruped push-up plus. And so basically what it is once you get into that push-up position or that quadruped position, then you're plussing, you're going up even further. So I like to kind of start down in that prayer stretch or that child's pose. That's the motion you want to kind of start off in here. And then you're going to come up, kind of almost that push-up into quadruped, and then do a plus, almost like a cat, the cat stretch. But you're doing it in a fluid motion. You're not stretching as you go. So then you're coming back down, going to that stretch, pushing up, push up, and then push up into that plus, and then come back down. And so I'm kind of doing it in pieces so you can see it, but you really want to do it in a fluid motion. That's the best way to get it done. So again, if you haven't worked on these muscles before, just start off with 5 or 10, couple sets, and then do this a couple times a day. So then you're going to go into doing some resistive band work. And so this is really good. I really like resistive bands because it gets both motions with resistance. If you're just doing weights, you can, but then you're not getting that kind of eccentric work coming back. So the next one is a bear hug. And so it's kind of just like it sounds. You're going to put the band around you. And again, you can do these in standing or sitting in a chair. You don't have to do them on the floor. But you want to do just like what a bear hug sounds like. You're going to come out and around like you're going in to give somebody a hug, and then come back out and in. So it's not out and then straight back. You have to come back out or you're going to bump into the person you're hugging. So really come out, push forward, and then come back in and squeeze those shoulder blades in. So out, push forward, squeeze those shoulder blades in. So again, start off with the lightest resistive band, depending on what brand it is. It might be a different color. Usually with the TheraBand brand, it starts off with yellow and then red is the next one. I'd always start off with the lightest one, even if it feels easy. Just wait and see how your body reacts the next day. And then so the last one is the serratus punches with a resistive band. So again, if you're just starting off with a resistive band the first time, you can start off in that 90-degree angle and just punch forward and come back. But ideally, you want to work your way up to an angle because that's what really gets that plane, gets those serratus muscles working. So you're punching up, really reaching, almost like you're trying to grab the ceiling up there or the corner of the ceiling and then come back down. But see, my elbows stay almost completely straight the whole time, or straight if you can keep them straight. A little bend is okay, but you're not doing the movement at the elbow, you're doing the movement at the shoulder complex. So there you have it. Those are my top 10 stretches and exercises for a winged scapula. And yeah, you love that portrait, don't you? So if you'd like to help support my channel, make sure and click on the link up there. And don't forget to subscribe by clicking down there. And remember, be safe, have fun, and I hope you feel better soon.